Step into your bedroom and look around, not with your eyes, but with your energy. Everything in that room is already saying something to your future, whether you realize it or not. That mirror casually reflecting your bed might be splitting your focus. The clutter stored under the mattress isn't just storage, it's friction buried beneath your rest. That stack of unread books, the chipped bowl by the window, the pile of unfolded laundry whispering one day, each one carries a kind of static. Not dramatic, not loud, but persistent. And over time, that persistence becomes a pattern. The energy in your bedroom is not still, it's not neutral, it's instructive. It's responding to you and reflecting you back, especially during the 8 hours a night when your conscious mind goes quiet and your unconscious field takes over. That's the field that determines how you wake, how clearly you think, how emotionally centered you feel, and, perhaps most importantly, how well your environment allows wealth to land and stay. Now here's the truth most people miss. The bedroom isn't just a place where you go to shut down. In Feng Shui, it's one of the most sacred, potent places in your home. Not because of tradition, not because of ritual, but because it's where your boundaries dissolve. It's where your vulnerability, your self-image, your renewal, and your long-term energetic blueprint are all being recalibrated every single night. And when your bedroom holds confusion, contradiction, or chaotic symbolism, your finances often mirror that tone. Your motivation rises and falls for no clear reason. Your creative flow starts to stall, and your sense of direction becomes hazy, not because of who you are, but because of what surrounds you while you sleep. Let's get one thing clear before we continue. This isn't about belief. You don't have to believe in energy flow or metaphysical language to be impacted by it. You don't need to be spiritually inclined or Feng Shui obsessed, but you do need to understand one simple principle. Your home is talking. Whether it's attracting what you want or repelling what you need depends on whether that message is coherent. And the bedroom is where that coherence matters most. Today, I'll take you through 7 subtle but deeply influential mistakes people make in their bedrooms. Mistakes that may seem harmless on the surface, but slowly disrupt energetic stability, especially when it comes to money, momentum, and clarity. These are not abstract or ceremonial. They're structural, they're behavioral, and they're fixable. I'll explain what each one does to your life field, how to correct it, and what signals to replace it with instead. These aren't superstitions. They're energetic strategies, tested over centuries of observation and verified by thousands of practitioners who understand that what's visible in your room becomes the blueprint for what's visible in your results. And here's something extra. In the middle of this breakdown, I'll share the story of a global icon who redesigned her bedroom at a turning point in her career, not with crystals, not with vision boards, but with one bold change that restructured her energy field and helped catalyze one of the biggest pivots in her financial success. Because sometimes it's not your habits that need changing, it's the environment that holds them. Let me say that again. It's not always your willpower that's broken. It's the container your life rests in that's misaligned. And when your container, the bedroom, is overlooked, you can spend years chasing wealth and wondering why nothing sticks. Because without supportive chai around your body at rest, no effort feels quite enough. No win feels fully sustainable. No plan unfolds smoothly. But change the tone of that room, realign your energetic anchors, and suddenly your external life stops resisting. Things land, income stabilizes, inner pressure softens. You think more clearly. You respond with less reactivity, and the future stops feeling so far away. Before we begin, let me just say this. The purpose of this video is not to make you throw out everything or overhaul your entire bedroom overnight. The purpose is to help you see what you may have been overlooking, to show you how small adjustments in placement and symbolism can have ripple effects that shift the entire emotional temperature of your space, and by extension, your life. So take a breath. Walk with me through this room you thought you already knew, because what's hiding behind your curtains, beneath your bed, or inside your drawers might not just be clutter. It might be a quiet decision your life field keeps obeying. And once you learn how to restructure those decisions, you don't just change your bedroom, you change what your bedroom says about who you're becoming. Now, if you find this kind of practical, grounded Feng Shui insight helpful, without the fluff, without the superstition, then I'd love your support. Please give this video a like, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. We're building a community of people who want to design homes that help, not hinder, their energy. Your one click helps me reach our next milestone of 2,000 thoughtful subscribers and allows me to keep sharing strategies like these with clarity and care. All right, let's dive into the 7 silent mistakes that may be draining your energy field and what to do about them. Because your bedroom isn't passive, it's powerful. And when it aligns, your whole life starts to flow forward. Mistake 1, mirrors facing the bed. There is one mistake that many people make without realizing its depth, its consequence, or its message, and that is allowing a mirror to directly face the bed. It may seem innocent, a design choice, a practical solution for small rooms, or a decorative preference inherited from a catalog image. But in energetic terms, in the structure of Feng Shui that governs movement, stillness, and the ability of a space to support subconscious regeneration, a mirror across from your sleeping space does more than reflect. It duplicates, it divides, it fragments. When a mirror reflects your body as you sleep, it creates an energetic echo. Your physical self rests, but your energetic body is caught in repetition. Your chi, instead of retreating inward to restore, begins to loop outward and back again, like a sound that cannot resolve its final note. This is not metaphor, it is architecture. And what architecture reflects, your life follows. In Chinese metaphysics, the bedroom is one of the most important yin spaces of the home. Yin is inward, soft, restorative. It is the soil from which clarity, nourishment, and grounded decision-making arise. A mirror, on the other hand, is pure yang. It activates, it projects, it bounces, it refuses stillness. When you introduce a mirror in the direct view of your sleeping form, you are creating a conflict between yin and yang within the most delicate layer of your energetic field, the unconscious. That's the part of you that governs more than just dreams. It holds your financial behavior, your emotional resilience, your nervous system, and your subconscious expectations about what life should deliver or deny. Now imagine going to sleep every night inside a loop of reflected movement. Your body still, your spirit duplicated, your rest watched by you. This is not symbolic. This is structural disturbance, and it quietly feeds indecision, anxiety, emotional repetition. For many people, it translates into shallow sleep. For others, it shows up in the form of unfinished financial progress, always striving, never stabilizing. And for those most sensitive to space, it becomes a feeling that something is always off, but never obvious. Many viewers of this channel have told me their dreams feel chaotic, unresolving, that they wake up exhausted even after 8 hours, that they feel like they're working twice as hard to make half as much progress. And while no single object can be blamed for complex life dynamics, a mirror directly facing the bed is often the first and most easily corrected source of energetic contradiction in the space. To understand the deeper principle here, consider the symbolic role of the bed in Feng Shui. It is not merely furniture. It is your command center of regeneration, your altar of stillness, your recalibration station. Every major function that determines how you engage with the world, cognition, memory, hormonal regulation, emotional processing, happens in this space even when your awareness is switched off. So why invite a loud, repeating visual yang object to interrupt that process every single night? And it doesn't stop there. Mirrors don't only disturb sleep, they often trigger subconscious comparisons. If you wake up in the morning and the first thing you see is your own reflection, before intention, before breath, before stillness, your nervous system doesn't ease into the day. It defends, even subtly, especially for women or for those going through life changes, grief, burnout, or health transitions. This is not just a design flaw. It's an energetic boundary violation. Now let me pause and say this clearly. Not all mirrors are bad. Mirrors are powerful tools. They expand light, reflect beauty, and create dimensionality in a space. But like all power, they require placement. They require care. They require purpose. A mirror that reflects light from a window into a darker corner? That's activation done right. A mirror that reflects the entryway to double abundance or protect a back door from leaking chi? That's purposeful. But a mirror that directly faces your sleeping body, especially from a closet door, a wall, or a vanity, confuses the energy that is meant to recalibrate in peace. So what can you do? First, locate every reflective surface in your bedroom. Not just mirrors, anything with a polished or mirrored finish that shows your form from the bed's perspective. Then ask, can this be moved? Can it be covered at night? If the answer is yes, do it immediately. You don't need to overthink this. You're not disrespecting the mirror. You're respecting the space it's in. If the mirror is built into a closet door, you can use neutral toned adhesive film to mute the reflection without destroying the surface. You can also install a curtain rod and a soft drape that blends with your decor, something you close each night and open each morning, like a ritual of energetic closure and re-entry. Think of it like closing a tab in your browser before you sleep. Your field deserves that kind of reset too. If the mirror is fixed and cannot be hidden, balance it. Place a grounding object, like a small wooden carving, a soft plant, or a piece of unpolished stone, between the mirror and the bed. You can also hang a light bamboo curtain or sheer textile that blurs the surface. These don't erase the reflection entirely, but they soften the frequency so that your field no longer interprets it as active duplication. Now you might ask, what if the mirror faces the foot of the bed instead of the side? Isn't that less intrusive? In truth, all mirror-facing angles are disruptive, but the foot of the bed is particularly tricky because it projects chi out of the body center line. This often leads to headaches, foggy mornings, and a feeling of being energetically pushed through the day. It's better than a side-facing mirror, but it still splits the field. So the same rule applies. Mute, soften, or remove if possible. Let me give you an example. A few years ago, I worked with a family whose teenage daughter was experiencing severe academic burnout and self-esteem issues. Her parents had tried tutoring, therapy, even holistic sleep support. Nothing helped. When I visited the home, the first thing I noticed was a large mirrored closet directly across from the girl's bed. She told me she often woke in the middle of the night startled and that she felt watched even when alone. We covered the mirrors with soft linen drapes, rearranged her nightstand for stability, and placed a grounding wood carving at the foot of her bed. Within 2 weeks, her sleep improved. Within a month, she told me she felt like my thoughts belonged to me again. And by the end of that school year, her grades had risen, her mood had stabilized, and her room, once chaotic, felt like sanctuary. This is what we mean when we say design matters. This is why mirrors cannot be ignored. Because the body is wise, and the space remembers. And when we sleep in environments that mirror us constantly, we never get the chance to forget the day, to forget the failures, to forget the to-do list. We sleep in our reflection and wake up wondering why we feel behind. So tonight, before you rest, ask yourself, does my room allow me to disappear into peace, or does it repeat me into exhaustion? The answer may not come in words, but your body knows. And if the answer is fragmented, restless, or exposed, then it's time to shift the mirror, not because you're superstitious, but because you're smart enough to align your life field with the direction you want to grow in. And isn't that what real Feng Shui is all about? Mistake 2, storage under the bed. The space beneath your bed is not neutral. It is not hidden. It is not forgotten by the deeper intelligence of your home. In Feng Shui, this area is understood as a vital current, a channel of qi circulation that supports not only how you sleep, but how your life moves forward. Think of it not as wasted space, but as a riverbed, a quiet passage of energy that flows beneath you as you sleep. And like any river, it is meant to remain clear, smooth, and undisturbed. When that flow is blocked by bins, clutter, forgotten boxes, tangled cables, or emotional debris, the results are not always loud, but they are cumulative. You may not notice it the first night or even the first month, but over time you begin to feel it: stagnation, fogginess, difficulty starting new chapters, unexplained fatigue that even the best mattress can't solve. You wake up physically rested, perhaps, but emotionally anchored in something that no longer serves you. That is not chance, that is structure. Let's be clear. In Feng Shui, energy doesn't obey sentiment, it obeys clarity. And what lives under your bed, whether seen or unseen, becomes part of the energetic equation your body processes while it rests. You lie down seeking renewal, but the environment beneath you keeps whispering old stories. If those stories are incomplete, old letters from past lovers, journals from former versions of yourself, clothes that no longer fit your current path, your energetic field is being asked to carry memory instead of momentum. This is not just about minimalism. This is about resonance. And resonance is what your subconscious uses to interpret what's still real and what is ready to be released. One of the most common statements I hear from clients is, "I feel like I'm ready to move on, but I don't know why I can't." My first question is always the same: what's under your bed? Because more often than not, we are sleeping above versions of ourselves that are no longer true. We are quite literally resting above the weight of the past and wondering why the future feels so far away. The underbed zone is not a storage solution. It is an energetic echo chamber, and it repeats back to you whatever you place in it. Now let's talk about the kinds of items that do the most damage when stored under the bed. First, emotionally charged objects. Anything connected to heartbreak, grief, disappointment, failure, or outgrown identity holds a frequency that does not belong in a sleep space. This includes clothes from a different body era that no longer reflect your self-worth, unsorted photo boxes tied to a version of family that has since shifted, abandoned gifts from people no longer in your life, and any container of "maybe I'll use this again one day" energy. All of these items, when placed directly beneath your body's resting field, generate emotional drag. They stall growth. They confuse qi. They keep you anchored to a version of self you are trying to outgrow. And second, chaotic mix bins. Many people use the area under the bed as a catch-all: holiday decorations, unused electronics, extra hangers, expired paperwork. While this may feel efficient in the short term, what it creates is energetic noise. The subconscious does not differentiate between important clutter and miscellaneous clutter. It simply responds to the fact that the river has been dammed. The stillness you need for personal clarity is now being interrupted by a drawer of unresolved choices. But there is nuance here. Not all underbed storage is inherently negative. If your home requires it due to space limitations, Feng Shui allows for mindful exception. The key is intention. Only store soft, energetically neutral items, such as clean, unused linens, extra pillows, or spare comforters. These should be placed in sealed, breathable fabric containers. Avoid plastic bins whenever possible, as they emit synthetic energy and trap moisture. Fabric or bamboo boxes signal care and allow for energetic breathability. Before placing anything beneath the bed, ask yourself, does this item represent support or stagnation? If the answer is unclear, the item should not go there. Let's now connect this principle to something broader: the relationship between what's beneath you and what you are trying to rise into. In Feng Shui, what is under your feet or body becomes the foundation of your qi. So when you sleep above unresolved emotional material, you are telling the universe, I'm not yet done with this. Even if your conscious mind believes otherwise, even if you've done the journaling, the therapy, the closure, if your environment still holds the artifact, your life still holds the loop. That's how energy works. It doesn't care what you've declared, it cares what you are still holding. To illustrate, let me share a brief but powerful story. Several years ago, a successful jewelry entrepreneur in New York City came to me with a strange pattern. Her business had grown, her brand was respected, but she could never quite make the leap into larger, high-end clients. She kept attracting small jobs, draining negotiations, and projects that never quite matched her vision. When I assessed her space, the first thing I noticed was her underbed storage. 3 bins of archived jewelry prototypes from the first few years of her career. She told me they were keepsakes, but when I asked her how they made her feel, she said, tired, stuck. I've outgrown them, but I don't know what to do with them. We replaced the bins with a single folded wool blanket and placed a small written affirmation under her pillow instead. The past supports me, the future calls me. Within 6 weeks, she signed her first luxury collaboration. Within 6 months, she'd moved to a larger studio. That is not coincidence. That is structure, shifting energy. That is what removing underbed drag can do. So what should you do tonight? Begin with honesty. Take a flashlight, look under your bed. What is actually there? Not what you think is there, but what your body has been sleeping above. Is it clean? Is it intentional? Is it yours, or is it a version of you you've already said goodbye to? If anything feels heavy, unresolved, or untrue, remove it. Don't organize it. Don't justify it. Remove it. Thank it. Bless it if needed. Then release it from this space. You are not your storage. You are not your past. And if you need the space for practical reasons, choose one sealed container only. Place inside it something that symbolizes rest, safety, or seasonal support. A wool blanket, a set of fresh sheets, not clothes, not memories, not the things you don't want to deal with yet. Under your bed is your energetic soil. Don't bury decay there. Place only what helps you grow. If your rest has felt shallow, if your ambition has felt disconnected, or if you've been in a season of life where everything takes effort but nothing truly moves, look under your bed, not because it's mystical, but because it's architectural. Your body doesn't need crystals to feel better. It needs space to breathe. You don't have to understand all of Feng Shui to benefit from this. You just have to trust what your body already knows. That space matters. That direction matters. That the ground beneath you holds more than dust. It holds pattern, memory, and momentum. So give yourself the clarity you've been asking life for. Start with where you sleep and watch what begins to rise. Mistake 3, faded, chipped, or hand-me-down linens and pillows. There is no part of your home more intimate than what touches your skin while you sleep. Your sheets, your pillows, your comforter, they are not just fabric and fiber. They are the final layer between your body and the field of energy you move through while unconscious. In Feng Shui, this layer is not decorative. It is directional. It speaks to how you receive comfort, how you hold rest, and ultimately how your energy receives nourishment. And yet for many people, these objects are chosen by default. The old comforter that still works, the pillowcase from college, the blanket passed down from an aunt, a full set of sheets stitched with a past relationship's memory. You may not think much of it, but your chai does. Every night when you lie down to rest, your skin meets the subtle imprint of what your bedding holds. If the sheets are thin, if the color is faded, if the edges are worn, or if the fabric once belonged to someone else, especially someone you're no longer energetically entangled with, then the message your body receives is dissonant. It says, this space is not fully yours. It says, you are worthy of rest, but not fresh rest. It says, this bed is a place of compromise, not cultivation. And when that message repeats night after night, the body begins to believe it. And when the body believes it, the field reflects it. And when the field reflects it, the results begin to stall, financially, emotionally, creatively. In Feng Shui, your bedding is an extension of your energetic skin. And like skin, it must be cared for, not just washed, not just fluffed, but aligned with intention. When you sleep on chipped, mismatched, or hand-me-down linens, you are layering someone else's history onto your personal timeline. And in doing so, you dilute your ability to generate momentum in your own story. Imagine trying to write a new chapter with pages that have already been filled. That's what energetic bedding clutter feels like. That's what happens when your bedroom is a collage of old narratives. Let's break this down. Faded sheets are not just a style issue, they are a signal. In color psychology, vibrancy speaks to vitality. In Feng Shui, color is qi in visible form. When your sheets are dull, your rest is dull. When your pillowcases are worn thin, your boundary to recovery becomes thin. And when your comforter has lost its shape, your comfort loses its edge. Even if you think you're sleeping fine, your energetic restoration is not operating at full capacity. You may find yourself working harder to feel ready each morning. You may feel more emotionally reactive, more prone to decision fatigue, or less enthusiastic about new financial opportunities. That isn't mindset. That's contact. Your body cannot feel new when it's being wrapped in the old. And then there is the matter of emotional inheritance. Linens gifted by family, pillows shared with exes, blankets from a parent's home, or items that were once borrowed but never returned. These carry embedded fields. In Feng Shui, we call them ghost signatures, not of spirits, but of emotional residue. Every item that holds personal contact holds memory. And when those items surround you in sleep, you enter those memories whether you're aware of it or not. A pillow from a partner who left, a quilt from a parent who passed, a sheet set used during a time of financial struggle. These are not neutral. These are energetic anchors. You are trying to rise, but your environment is still sleeping in the past. One of the most understated examples of this dynamic happened in a home I visited in Toronto. A client, an accomplished real estate investor, had just purchased her dream penthouse. Everything looked perfect on the outside. Designer lighting, curated art, a view that stole your breath, but she couldn't sleep. Night after night, she tossed and turned, waking with headaches and dreams of anxiety. She was convinced it was the altitude. I asked to see the bedroom. Everything was sleek until I saw the bedding. A soft, well-worn set of blue cotton sheets with embroidered initials. I asked whose they were. She said they belonged to her ex-husband, kept out of practicality. They're still good, she said. I didn't want to waste them. Waste them? She was wasting her rest. We replaced them that week with a set of deep emerald sheets, chosen for her wood element alignment and her southeast wealth quadrant. No initials, no history, just clarity. Within 10 days, her sleep normalized. Within a month, she reported a significant breakthrough on a stalled development project. The lesson? Your environment doesn't just reflect your state, it reinforces it. And your sheets are either telling your energy you belong here or you're still somewhere else. So what should you do? First, look at your current bedding as if it belonged to someone else. Would you give it to a guest? Would you offer it to a child you loved? If the answer is no, why are you offering it to yourself? Second, touch everything. Feel for frays pilling, thinning threads. Feng Shui values what is whole. If an object is visibly damaged, its qi is leaking, and that leak becomes your lack. Third, review the emotional trail. Who gave you each piece? Where was it bought? What phase of life was it part of? If the object carries a weight or attachment that no longer serves, it should not live on your bed. Fourth, choose one new sheet set, not 10, not a complete overhaul, just one. A simple, high-quality set in a color that matches either your personal elemental energy or your wealth sector. For example, if your Kiyue number places you in a wood-nurturing quadrant, choose greens or earth tones. If fire is your productive element, use warm crimson or plum. If water soothes your intensity, go with midnight blue or charcoal. Let color become conductor. Fifth, use the first night in those sheets as a ritual. Lie down slowly, say to yourself, I sleep in support, I rest in permission, I rise in clarity. Do not underestimate the power of this subtle ceremony. You are not manifesting, you are mending. You are not hoping, you are hosting better energy. You are placing your body in a field that reflects your future, not your leftover past. Let's not forget, your wealth is not built only during your waking hours. It is shaped in the silence of sleep. And when that sleep is layered with energy that is faded, broken, or misaligned, your energy field spends more time repairing than receiving. That is not rest, that is recovery. A true rest begins when nothing is interrupting. An interruption lives in the things we think don't matter anymore. So tonight, look at your bed. Is it decorated in care or decorated in delay? Is it holding you or holding you back? The softness you sleep in becomes the softness you show the world, and the world responds accordingly. Change your sheets, change your story. Mistake 4, wall art that symbolizes struggle, stillness, or fragmentation. What you hang on your bedroom wall is not just decoration, it is declaration. It declares what you are sleeping under, what you are dreaming beside, and what your subconscious will rehearse every night, without words, without logic, without pause. In Feng Shui, your bedroom is the most yin space of the home. It is where you retreat, repair, restore. The energy here must not demand, it must hold. And yet so many people unknowingly fill their bedroom walls with images that contradict what they are seeking in life. Let's begin with the most common issue, imagery of struggle. A lone sailboat in stormy waters, a single tree braving the wind, a photograph of a desolate field under gray skies. These images may appear poetic, but in a bedroom they register as unresolved stress. The storm becomes symbolic of internal conflict. The solitary figure becomes a metaphor for relational distance. The tension in the lines becomes the tension in your chest. And while you may not consciously notice it, your qi does. It sees what is above you and behind you and beside you, and it responds accordingly. Now consider this. Your sleeping energy is like a sponge. It soaks in what's near, not just physically, but emotionally and symbolically. A painting with jagged lines or splintered forms doesn't just occupy space. It fractures the visual field. It introduces fragmentation. And in a space meant for wholeness, this fragmentation multiplies. Over time, it becomes a pattern in your energy, divided thoughts, indecisive actions, stalled relationships. You may find yourself waking with racing thoughts, unclear motivations, or a sense that something is just off. even if your space is technically clean and calm. The art is clean, but the message is not. This issue goes deeper when the art portrays stillness in the wrong way. Not peaceful stillness, but stagnation. Think of wall decor that shows a dried field, a person sitting endlessly in the dark, a symbolic scene of winter without warmth or transition. In Feng Shui, these images don't support rest. They encourage inertia. They tell your qi to slow, then stop. They create emotional drag. And when that drag becomes part of your environment, you begin to feel it in other parts of your life. Motivation wanes, inspiration dulls, progress plateaus. It's not because you're lazy or unmotivated. It's because your field is reflecting a message of pause, not permission. A client I once worked with, a tech entrepreneur from Seattle, had a meticulously designed bedroom. Soft lighting, warm wood accents, natural fiber sheets. And yet every time we spoke, she expressed feeling stuck in her career. Her income had plateaued for 3 years. When I visited her home, I noticed 2 large frame prints above her bed. Both were grayscale photographs of leafless trees under heavy fog. "I like the mood," she told me. "It feels quiet." Yes, it felt quiet, but it also felt stopped. There was no direction, no invitation, no life. We replaced them with abstract artwork in soft earth tones, broad brushstrokes that move from left to right, suggesting motion and gentle expansion. Within 4 months, she closed a major partnership that had been pending for over a year. Was it magic? No, it was momentum. The field had been freed from the message of emotional paralysis. Now you might be thinking, but I love dark art. I love edgier pieces. That's fine, art is personal. But not all art belongs in all rooms. Your bedroom is not your gallery. It is not your stage. It is not your declaration to the world. It is your declaration to yourself, and that declaration should be clear, coherent, and kind. You can keep your stormy masterpiece in your office or in a hallway that thrives on fire energy. But in your bedroom, let the message be about softness, expansion, trust. So what should you hang in your bedroom? Art that mirrors ease, paintings that hold open skies, pathways that curve towards sunrise, landscapes that suggest a future, not a past. Water that is still but not stagnant, like a lake under dawn. Florals that are open, not overly detailed or closed. Colors that reflect your elemental needs. Deep greens for wood, rich reds for fire, calming blues for water, warm tones for earth, metallics for clarity and metal. Let each piece be chosen not for fashion, but for function. Ask yourself, what does this image say to the part of me that no longer speaks during the day? A powerful example of this principle was demonstrated by Beyoncé, who, according to interviews with her longtime creative director, intentionally chooses artwork in her rest spaces that signals vision. In her private suite, she reportedly hangs large canvases of radiant abstract movement, shapes that stretch and flow in tones of gold, indigo, and ivory. These works are not literal. They are emotional anchors. They do not tell a story of where she's been. They create a current of where she is going. This is not superstition. This is energetic discipline. When someone operates at that level of output, everything in their environment must echo the message of renewal and mastery. You can do the same. You don't need expensive art. You don't need massive pieces. You need clarity. One frame photo of a garden you love. One canvas that holds upward movement. One sketch of mountains with sunlight behind them. These are not just images. They are invitations. They say, this space supports you. They say, this is a room where chi can rest and then rise. Placement matters too. In Feng Shui, the wall opposite your bed is a reflection wall. What hangs there is what your field faces as you sleep. It should show possibility, not just nature, but potential. The wall behind your headboard is the anchor wall. It should show support, not noise, not chaos, not collapse. Use images with strong baselines or subtle verticality. Let your subconscious feel that there is something steady holding you, even when you let go. And remember, more is not more. A cluttered gallery wall sends a message of complexity, not coherence. Limit yourself to 1 to 3 pieces per visual field. Let the art breathe so that you can. As for colors, choose with intent. Soft greens signal life. Sky blues invite peace. Muted yellows hold optimism. Warm neutrals embrace without demand. Avoid harsh black-white contrast, neon tones, or deep grays unless they are balanced by texture or natural material. You're not building drama, you're building a dock for your spirit, and perhaps most importantly, clean your art. Dust it regularly, straighten the frames, treat them as active members of your space, not passive backdrops. In Feng Shui, neglect is a kind of communication. A tilted frame says almost. A dusty corner says forgotten. Don't let your art whisper lack when you are trying to build abundance. In summary, your bedroom walls are silent speakers. Every image you hang tells your energy something. If you are trying to grow, but your walls say grief, your efforts will echo that confusion. If you are trying to rise, but your walls say stillness, your chi will slow. If you are trying to attract abundance, but your walls show isolation, your field will hesitate. Change the image, change the message, change the field, and the field will change you. Let your wall art reflect not what you've endured, but what you are ready to experience. Let it speak gently. Let it stretch forward. Let it show the possibility of light, movement, connection. Because the last thing you see before you fall asleep and the first thing you see when you wake up is not just an image, it is a signal, and that signal becomes your story. Mistake 5. Stacked items or clutter on side tables. There are few areas in the home more misunderstood than the bedside table. Most treat it as a catch-all where the practical meets the personal, where whatever doesn't fit elsewhere ends up. It becomes a quiet graveyard for half-read books, receipts waiting to be filed, old prescriptions never returned to the cabinet, water bottles half drunk and long forgotten, dried lip balm tubes, tangled chargers, backup pens, and post-it notes whose intentions expired months ago. But in Feng Shui, your bedside table is not a convenience. It is a gatekeeper. Not a shelf of utility, but a symbolic aperture, what we call an energetic threshold between the sleeping self and the active self. What sits on it does not merely rest near you, it informs you. It gives subtle instructions to your field during the 2 most important transitions of the day, the moments before you fall asleep and the moments just after you wake. Consider this. You may fall asleep with your eyes closed, but your field remains open. Your senses may retreat into slumber, but your energetic body is still conversing with your environment. It depends. And what it sees within reach, what it senses in proximity, it assumes is still part of the loop. If your last visual frame before sleep includes a stack of disorganized paper, electronics emitting blue light, expired skincare, or forgotten gadgets, then the message you embed into your subconscious is, I am not done. I am not clear. I am not free to rest. You may be horizontal, but your mind is still tangled in loops of unfinished business. Let's go deeper into why this matters. In classical Feng Shui, qi accumulates where attention lingers. If your side table is cluttered, qi is caught. It doesn't circulate. It ricochets. Instead of supporting downward yin flow, which leads to deep rest, cellular repair, and inner quiet, The energy near your bed begins to resemble a pinball machine, reflecting, bouncing, fragmenting. This is why even in an otherwise beautiful room, people report trouble falling asleep, waking with a racing mind, or feeling unrested despite a full night's rest. The external chaos next to them becomes internal static. Sleep was achieved, but restoration was not. Let's use a real-life metaphor. Think of your bedroom as your night harbor. Your body is the ship, your dreams are the currents, but the dock, the place you tether to, is your bedside space. Would you anchor a vessel to a pier strewn with crates, broken ropes, discarded nets, and random debris? Would you trust that dock to hold your ship steady through the night? Of course not. And yet, we do exactly that with our bedside tables, expecting serenity to emerge from an environment that offers no structure, no stillness, and no signal of closure. So how do we correct this? First, we reframe the function of the bedside table entirely. It is not a place for everything. It is a place for three things: one source of light, one grounding object, and one symbolic intention. That is it. Start with light. This is not just about visibility, it's about rhythm. A lamp on your side table is not only for illumination, but for energetic warmth. Choose a warm bulb, ideally soft yellow, and place it in a lamp that casts an even glow. Avoid overhead glare or anything too directional. Light that diffuses invites the body to soften. This is your anchor, your invitation to rest. It says, the day is done. You are safe now. Second, add a grounding object. This could be a smooth stone, a small potted plant, a wooden object, or a simple sculpture that makes you exhale just by looking at it. The point is not aesthetics, it's mass. It's texture, something natural and settled. The object should hold the energy of already arrived, not reaching, not signaling, not processing, just being. If you've ever picked up a polished river stone and felt your breath deepen, you already understand what this energy feels like. Third, select an intention item. This should be symbolic, not instructive. A small, framed affirmation, no more than a few words. A tiny image of a place that brings you peace. A single word carved into wood or printed on textured paper. Something that reminds your sleeping self who you are becoming without telling it what to do. The mistake most people make with affirmations is overloading them. A mantra with 12 words is a message the subconscious ignores. But a single idea, clarity, ease, worthy, rising, spoken visually and simply, creates a subtle signature your chi can sign on to. These three items work together not just to tidy the surface, but to recalibrate your energetic welcome mat to the night. They signal a field in order. When they say, I'm not holding yesterday, I'm preparing for tomorrow. Now let's talk about what to remove. If your current side table holds more than these three categories, it's time to edit. The water bottle you haven't touched in 2 days, empty it and return it to the kitchen. The skincare products you use only once a month, move them to the bathroom or skincare drawer. The pile of books you've been meaning to get to, select one, return the rest to the shelf. In Feng Shui, a book is not neutral. Its title, its theme, its unresolved plot, they all vibrate in the field. If a book on your table is titled Overcoming Anxiety, even if it's brilliant, its energy reinforces the frame of what you're overcoming, not what you're already living. Choose with care, and perhaps most overlooked, remove charging electronics. Phones, smartwatches, tablets, these items emit subtle electrical pulses even in sleep mode. They stimulate the field, pulling chi outward when it should be drawing inward. At the very least, place them 2 to 3 feet away from your pillow. Better still, store them in a nearby drawer, face down, in airplane mode. Your bedside is for stillness, not for stimulation. Let's bring in a story to ground this concept. A few years ago, a well-known wellness entrepreneur, a household name among the New York and LA circles, was experiencing a plateau. Her business was stable but not growing. Her creativity felt numb. Her sleep, she said, was fine but uninspiring. She consulted a Feng Shui advisor, and the change they made wasn't major construction. It was her bedside table. At the time, she had 8 books stacked high, 2 separate phone chargers, a mason jar full of pens, a vision board on a clipboard, and 3 half-used essential oil rollers. Nothing was inherently bad, but the field was busy, too busy. They stripped it down to 1 ceramic lamp, a tiny amethyst stone on a wood base, and a framed photo of her daughter running in sunlight. That was it. 3 weeks later, she wrote the outline for her next major product line, something that would later sell out and redefine her brand. Coincidence? Maybe, but from a Feng Shui perspective, the space finally said, "I am ready," and the universe heard. In conclusion, your bedside table is a script. It tells your body, your mind, and your energy what tone to take for the next 8 hours. A cluttered table says, "Hold on." A curated table says, "Let go." And in that letting go, clarity returns. You are not trying to design for beauty. You are designing for coherence, for breath, for restoration. So that when you wake, your first message is one of alignment, not of overwhelm. If you've ever wondered why things feel off, even when your room looks nice, check your side table. It may not be loud, but it is talking. And what it's saying could be shaping not only your sleep, but your next season of wealth, vision, and peace. Mistake 6, overuse of cool colors without balance. There's a quiet trap hiding in even the most expensive, beautifully photographed bedrooms. And it doesn't arrive through clutter or chaos, but through calm taken too far. Step into many modern bedrooms and you'll find the same palette over and over again. Soft grays, icy blues, off-whites, and metallic accents. These colors are chosen for their sophistication, their neutrality, their soothing effect. But in Feng Shui, neutrality is not an always balance, and too much calm without counterbalance can become stagnation disguised as serenity. This is the paradox of cool tones. They look composed, but energetically they can freeze momentum, mute ambition, and quiet the subtle spark required to move life forward, especially in areas tied to wealth and self-drive. Let's break this down through the 5 elements. In the Feng Shui cosmology, color is not just visual, it is vibrational. Each tone belongs to an element, and each element carries a specific energetic function. White, grayish, and metallic shades fall under metal. Metal governs refinement, glorious thought and precision, but it also cuts, condenses, and contracts. Blue and black fall under water. Water governs wisdom, emotion, and flow. But it can also erode, overwhelm, or drown direction if not bounded properly. These 2 elements, metal and water, are naturally cold in temperament. In moderation, they create clarity and calm. But when they dominate a bedroom without the energetic support of wood or fire, they suppress the very chi that money and personal movement require. Let's make this practical. Imagine a bedroom with charcoal walls, white linens, mirrored accents, a chrome lamp, and navy drapes. At first glance, it feels elegant, intentional. But sleep after sleep, something begins to dim. Not rest, but readiness. The person who sleeps here begins to report difficulty making decisions. Their goals lose urgency. They feel like they're doing everything right, but traction is missing. Life begins to feel flatlined, not in crisis, but in limbo. This is the result of elemental dominance. The environment supports stillness, but not ignition. It cools desire instead of clarifying it. And in the realm of wealth, that's a dangerous undercurrent. The truth is that money energy is active, not frantic, but warm. It responds best to chi that moves forward, not sideways or downward. Fire and wood are the only elements in Feng Shui that activate and elevate. Wood brings growth, fire brings visibility, and without them, your wealth corner or your wealth consciousness may be visually pleasing but functionally asleep. So how do we recalibrate this imbalance? The answer is not to repaint your room or abandon your aesthetic. The solution is strategic warmth. Introduce color like acupuncture, just enough to activate without overwhelming. This can be done through a single rug in mustard, a velvet pillow in rust or burgundy, a throw blanket in earthy ochre, or a framed textile in red gold tones. These are not random additions. They are energy invitations. When placed with intention, they act like a match strike in a room full of gentle fog. The fog doesn't disappear, but now it moves. It responds. It integrates. Even the type of object matters. A fire color introduced through fabric, something soft and breathable, warms the field without shouting. It says presence. It says vitality. It says ready. If you're hesitant to add bold colors, remember this. You're not redesigning the whole room. You're waking up one zone at a time. Even a single gold-trimmed frame or a small bowl of cinnamon sticks on your dresser can redirect the chi flow in ways that the subconscious immediately registers, but the conscious mind may take weeks to appreciate. Let me share an example from a real-world case. A client in Northern California, a highly successful interior designer with a pristine social media presence, reached out after noticing a plateau in her business and her personal life. Her bedroom, though elegant, leaned heavily into gray-on-gray tones. Soft dove gray walls, silver accents, white bedding, gray rug, metallic lamp bases. Everything was curated, everything was quiet, but her words said it all. I don't dream anymore, I just sleep. She wasn't losing energy, she was paused in it. We made one change, a set of 2 paprika-toned throw pillows on her bed and a small, deep red ceramic dish on her bedside table to hold her earrings. Within a month, she reported an unexpected surge of design inquiries, a renewed interest in a stalled product collaboration, and a shift in her mood. It's not just color, she said. It's like something turned back on inside me. That is fire meeting metal. That is action awakening in stillness. In Feng Shui, nothing is static. A room does not hold energy. It responds to it. And it responds best when the 5 elements are in intelligent dialogue. Too much water and metal in a bedroom are not inherently wrong, but without wood or fire, they create a passive feedback loop. You sleep, but don't restore. You think, but don't move. You want, but don't pursue. These rooms become not just places of rest, but of retreat from one's own momentum. So as you look around your own bedroom, ask yourself not, is it pretty, but is it alive? Does the color of your space support growth, or only pause? Is there visual quiet, but emotional resonance? Or are you sleeping in a room that reflects aesthetic trend more than energetic need? Because at the end of the day, color is not decoration, it's communication. And the bedroom in Feng Shui is not just where you restore energy, it's where you decide how you'll use it. A single color shift can be the difference between a year of waiting and a week of breakthrough. Mistake 7, obstructed bed access. When a bed is pressed into a corner or against a wall, it may seem like a space-saving choice, a practical compromise in a small apartment, or a personal preference rooted in comfort. But from a Feng Shui perspective, this simple arrangement is more than a matter of square footage. It becomes a coded message to your energetic field. A bed with only one side accessible tells Qi that partnership, expansion, and reciprocity are secondary. The space says access is limited, options are narrowed, and movement in or out of relationship, whether romantic, financial, or interpersonal, is constricted by default. The symbolism here is quietly powerful. In classical Feng Shui, the bed is considered the most influential object in the bedroom and one of the 3 power points in the home, alongside the stove and the front door. It is the command center of rest, recovery, intimacy, and subconscious integration. It is where we not only sleep, but rehearse the next version of ourselves. So when a bed is asymmetrically placed, flush against a wall on one side or boxed in with furniture that limits entry, it energetically communicates a life structure where only one person gets full access, or where movement happens only in one direction. This isn't about whether you're in a relationship or not. It's about what kind of flow your space endorses. Let's break this down practically. In single-person households, a bed that hugs the wall often symbolizes a default emotional withdrawal, not necessarily loneliness, but emotional self-containment. The subconscious receives the message, no one else fits here. There's no room for a second rhythm, for shared breathing space, or for spontaneous intimacy. This spatial decision quietly affirms a belief, conscious or not, that full access is not needed or not safe. And even when someone does enter your life, the arrangement of the space tells them they are a guest, not an equal presence. Now in partnered life, the same asymmetry takes on a different layer. It may symbolize imbalance in the dynamic, one person in full flow, the other boxed in or forced to accommodate. Over time, this can reflect as emotional burden, power asymmetry, or an underlying sense of restriction in shared growth. While it may begin as a logistical decision, the spatial pattern reinforces the energetic message until it manifests as lived experience. A deeper consequence, often missed, is the influence this layout has on decision-making clarity and financial fluidity. Qi needs circulation. When one side of the bed is inaccessible, Qi can't move evenly around the body during sleep. This contributes to blocked emotional digestion and energetic stagnation. You may find yourself more prone to indecision, inertia, or friction around collaborative choices, whether with a partner, family, or in business. Financial opportunities, too, may feel like they're just out of reach, or like they arrive but don't stay. Why? Because the physical message your bed sends is that half of the support system is obstructed. The room can't balance your field, and your field can't fully open to reciprocity. The correction here isn't complicated, but it must be deliberate. Start by repositioning the bed so that both sides are equally accessible, even if you're living alone. Create space not for who is there, but for what you wish to invite. A minimum of 18 inches on each side allows Qi to circulate without interruption and signals psychological openness to connection, support, and expansion. It tells your subconscious both giving and receiving are valued here. Next, anchor the new arrangement with symmetry. Place 2 side tables, ideally matching or at least balanced in scale and weight, on either side of the bed. This doesn't mean expensive furniture. A pair of simple wood crates, matching stools, or even floating wall shelves can suffice if styled with intention. The point is balance, not just visual, but energetic. The side tables act as sentinels, reinforcing the boundary between sleep and activity, self and other, internal world and external reality. They create a frame around rest, making it safer, clearer, and more potent. Layer in matching lamps or balanced lighting, and you have activated the metal and fire elements simultaneously, clarity and warmth. This combination invites partnership energy in all its forms, romantic, financial, and spiritual. It stabilizes the Qi field while energizing your subconscious to trust the presence of equilibrium. One of the most common excuses I hear for not implementing this adjustment is, "My room is too small." But I'll challenge you here. Often what limits bed repositioning isn't the walls, it's the furniture we cling to that no longer fits. A bulky dresser, an old bookshelf, a desk rarely used. Ask yourself, what am I prioritizing over balanced rest? What am I storing that takes up space meant for flow? Often rearranging is less about logistics and more about willingness. And when you make room for movement, life meets you halfway. Let's tie this to a real-world example. Several years ago, a high-profile fashion executive, whose name I'll keep private for confidentiality, consulted a Feng Shui expert after experiencing repeated burnout cycles and high employee turnover. While her office and public-facing spaces were designed meticulously, her personal space was cramped, asymmetric, and energetically dense. Her king-size bed was pressed into a corner, boxed in on one side by a tall wardrobe and on the other by a decorative trunk. She had chosen the setup for aesthetic impact, but it left her feeling boxed in emotionally. Within 2 weeks of repositioning her bed into central symmetry and removing 2 bulky items that constrained access, she reported sleeping more deeply, feeling more relaxed in her partnerships, and making 2 pivotal business decisions that she delayed for months. She later said, "I stopped waking up in defense mode." That's the power of energetic recentering. So if you feel like you're always pushing, always compensating, always waiting for life to balance out, pause and look at your bedroom. Not in judgment, but in curiosity. Is your bed a platform for rest or a symbol of imbalance? Is your sleep guarded by intention or pressed up against a wall of past assumptions? Because in Feng Shui, design is dialogue. Your bed is speaking, your layout is leading. The question is, are you allowing room for reciprocity, for support, for partnership in all its forms? Or are you sleeping through a quiet message that says, not yet, not ready, not now? Clear the wall, center the support, and let your rest begin to mirror the life you're building, not the space you've been surviving. Final in Feng Shui, the bedroom is more than a place to lie down. It's the one space that speaks to your life when you're no longer speaking. It receives your final breath of the day and your first exhale of tomorrow. And in that stillness, it doesn't reward effort. It reflects environment. You can hustle for 12 hours, network with brilliance, recite every affirmation on your vision board. But if you return each night to a space that holds confusion, contradiction, or stagnation, your chi will mirror that. Not to punish, but to stay honest. So no, you don't need to burn sage every night. You don't need to hang 7 talismans over your bed or whisper to the moon. You need structure. You need clarity. You need spatial choices that stop telling your nervous system to brace and start reminding it to receive. A mirror moved, a pile cleared, a corner reclaimed. These are not acts of decoration, they're directional shifts, subtle but seismic. They are how you reintroduce flow into a life that's been holding its breath. Because symbolic neutrality isn't emptiness, it's invitation. It's what lets your subconscious know, I am not replaying, I am ready. Ready to be supported, ready to receive, ready to rest in a room that no longer clings to the past or clutters the future. That readiness, quiet, rooted, unassuming, is what changes lives. Not instantly, but sustainably. And that's the difference between chasing wealth and allowing it. Chasing is what you do in daylight. Allowing is what you do in the dark. So tonight, as you return to your bedroom, ask yourself, not is this beautiful, but does this reflect who I'm becoming? Because when you sleep inside a story that supports the future you're building, you don't have to manifest. You don't have to plead. You just have to rest. And let the energy you've shaped begin to shape you back. If this message helped you see your space through a new lens, more than decor, more than superstition, please take a moment to support this growing community. Leave a comment below with one small change you'll make this week. Share this video with someone whose next chapter deserves a clearer foundation, and subscribe to New Day Mindfulness to help us reach 2,000 grounded, curious minds committed to building homes that don't just hold stuff, but hold energy, story, and direction. Together, we are redesigning rest, one decision, one object, one space at a time.